Kasturi, please come.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
So, Kasturi, tell the panel about yourself.
I am Kasturi Panda, born and brought up in the state of Bhubaneswar, Odisha. I completed my BTech in Computer Science Engineering from NIT Rourkela and graduated in 2019. After a brief stint of around 3.5 years in private sector, I have now joined the Odisha Administrative Service and also pursuing my attempts in UPS.
Rourkela was in news recently. What was it?
Rourkela became the host for the International Hockey World Cup Men's of this year.
And Rourkela is known for another very big asset.
So post-independence, the Rourkela Steel Plant by the Sale Authority of India Limited has been set up there, and it is one of the most important sources of steel across India.
Or your NIT is also in Rourkela?
Yes.
Okay. You spoke about SAIL,
Yes.
Steel Authority of India Limited. Year before, the government had decided to disinvest some share of SAIL. Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir. So it's about the strategic disinvestment that is being pursued in public sector companies. I believe this is to bring excellence in these companies by introducing new corporate style of governance, improving the efficiency, digitizing the processes, and overall it also aims to increase the yearly per annum production of steel.
But Kasturi, do you think that the public sector undertakings in India have outlived its role?
So I believe that India is still a developing country. We have not yet reached completely the stage that public sector will be completely disinvested. But yes, the shareholding of government has reduced so that a parallel improvement of public sector industries occur along with the private excellence, so that the government also continues its service in social expenditure.
But Kasturi, just to take this discussion forward,
Yes.
you have read about government, buying shares and equity of Vodafone in Idea. Have you heard about it? Recently, government has bought the equity share in Vodafone Idea because it was doing very badly.
I'm aware, sir, the telecom industry is not in a good
All
state.
right. So my question is different. On one hand, you said that disinvestment in public sector undertaking is a good step. On the other hand, we are putting money in the private sector. Now, is it not, opposite to each other, the policy?
So the money put in the private sector, as in the Vodafone Idea, I'm aware that they were not functioning well, and there exists a kind of if Vodafone Idea would have been not in presence in India, then there could have been a scene of duopoly, where the consumer will be ultimately hit by high prices because only two other major players are present currently. So that I believe is government's social role only, that it is planning to protect the customers.
Kasturi, you have mentioned that you were vice president of student counseling program.
Yes, sir.
Now, suppose you were to counsel youngsters, IAS aspirants, as they are said, about how to clear the civil service main examination. What tips would you give to them? How would you counsel them?
So before the actually targeting the mains examination, I believe that prelims also plays a bigger role in how we perform in mains. So my first step would be a proper determined strategy and preparation for the prelims, because that exactly gives the content and the way forward preparation for mains. At the same time, I will also, as a counselor, it is also my responsibility to take care that they do not become mentally too stressed with the level of competition that is present today. So I'll take this two-pronged approach if I am to counsel anyone.
Oh, but you haven't told the contents. With this counseling, if I want to sit in the exam, I am nowhere.
Yes, sir. Based on content, I think the syllabus of prelims has to be done very properly, like the history, polity.
I am talking of mains.
Yes, sir. I believe that the prelims preparation
Oh,
will
but all
ultimately
right,
help
that you
in
have
mains.
said.
Yes, sir.
Let's come to mains.
Then
The
this
approach to the main examination, is it the same as prelims?
yes, sir, the approach is different. Uh, the content used has to be properly, coherently presented in the answers that student write in limited space and limited time. So they have to focus their preparation in a way that the knowledge content they have in mind has to come on paper in 2 or 3 pages that we are provided. Hence, more data, limited amount of full sentences, focusing more on point-wise approach, as well as some diagrams should
Oh,
help them fetch more
thank you,
marks.
Kasturi. I pass on.
So, Kasturi,
Yes,
you tell me, Government of India has a policy not to interfere in the affairs of Aboriginal tribes. In Andaman Nicobar, certain islands have these tribes, and Government of India says that we need not go ahead and for any development plans for those islands. I mean, no medical facilities, nothing. What do you say about it?
so the government's focus on not developing those regions are of particular tribes who are called the particularly vulnerable tribal groups due to their backwardness as well as shyness to develop. They are not mature enough to live in the current state of society. Also, they have not yet developed the immunity that general population possesses of some diseases. So, government takes this as a pragmatic step to improve their conditions in their own niche, and only when they are ready tribals can be a part of the development process there itself.
How they are doing it?
Sir, I believe there's specific schemes for the PVTGs like one Vandhu Kalyan Yojana, and to groom the tribal youngsters and children we have Eklavya schools program. I'm aware
Not
of
for
this.
these Aboriginal types. They are not touched. Na? Nobody goes to their islands.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Eklavya school is different. Hmm.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm not.
Okay. What is the plan for Eklavya schools?
So Eklavya schools have come up with the aim to groom the tribal children with fooding and lodging facilities at the place of education.
What is the plan in the current year budget?
Uh, I'm sorry, sir, I'm not aware.
Hmm. Are they nearer to Kendriya Vidyalaya or nearer to Navodaya Vidyalaya?
So they have a
Nearer means
process.
nearer in plan, scheme, approach.
Sir, I am aware that they have a process of recruitment that they bring in tribal uh, ignited minds. So that may be similar to Navodaya Vidyalaya.
It's a residential
Yes, sir.
program,
Yes, sir.
and among the two Vidyalayas which we named, Kendri and other one,
Navodaya.
Navodaya is residential.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you keep in touch with the newspapers these days or not?
Yes.
Not reading at all?
Yes, sir.
Reading.
Yes, sir.
Today, what was interesting?
So currently, the most important news going on is the problem with the Adani shares and issues in the financial sector. Uh, but this has not yet been completely come.
What do you think? Why should Government of India worry about Adani share?
So there had been a report by a US think tank called Hindenburg Research that share prices of Adani were upheld by some shell companies and other scams and fraud systems within the company, which has not been yet proved. But there is risk of exposure of our public sector banks like SBI, and also LIC has exposure. Hence, public is it seems the risk towards that the common man's savings may be lost.
So our concern is about the our money invested in that, not invested. The company must have taken loans from these
Yes, sir.
banks.
Yes.
So that is what is at jeopardy. Okay. There was. Do you keep in view the movement of share prices?
I'm sorry, sir.
You are not taking. No? Okay. Good enough. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Kasturi, tell me about Sundargarh, this sociology aspect.
So Sundargarh is a district in Western Odisha. predominantly with tribal groups. And sociologically, there has been instances of Sanskritization and Westernization in the tribes, if I have noticed. Um, these tribes have also traditionally lagged in human development indicators like education and health. So these are the things that we need to focus in Sundargarh and Western Odisha overall.
Not asking we need to focus. I'm asking about what is the present sociology of Sundargarh.
Uh, I'm sorry, sir, I'm unable to get your question.
Okay. Tell me about features of Konark temple.
So the Konark temple was built by the Eastern Ganga dynasty by the king Narasimha Deva in 12th-13th century, which specializes in the Konark or the Nagara style of architecture, which has a cylindrical spire. In front of the Sanctum Sanctorum, there is a mandapa which is currently visited by tourists today, but the Sanctum Sanctorum is in ruins. It was also built on the scope of Panchayatna temple, that four more gods and goddesses also had chambers there. And Konark also has a Konark wheel, which has 8 spokes and it can determine the time of the day.
Okay. What is this concept of moonlighting? Moonlighting has been in the news. So, can you recall what is moonlighting and what are your views on moonlight?
I'm sorry, sir, I'll have to read on that.
Okay. It's relating to IT sector. Uh, Tell me about World Bank and IMF. What is difference between the two?
The World Bank and IMF are organizations related to the United Nations. World Bank particularly specializes in giving out loans, debts, and also grants to developing nations as well as least developed countries, whereas IMF majorly focuses on the balance of payments problems or crises that countries may be facing.
Do you think they are relevant today
So-
in view of number of conditions that are imposed by both these banks?
Yes, sir. It has been criticized that this bank and organizations have been partial to Western nations in terms of the interest they give to developing nations and help they provide to Western nations. They are losing significance today, as we can see that new organizations have also come up multilaterally, like the New Development Bank. Uh, so yes, they are losing their shine, but UN still plays a role in keeping a peace at the completely where all nations can come together. So yes, they have a limited role today.
What is Neuralink? And do you think Neuralink is the technology of future?
Neuralink is a technology proposed by Elon Musk that they can manufacture a small chip that can be fit in the brain of any living organism like human, but now it is being tested on monkeys and chimpanzees to control the emotional, social and mental behavior. So, but I believe that these chips may not be manufactured at such a large level that they become a technology of the future, but yes, they can be of help in medical industry.
And Neuralink linked with Chat GPT. Will it replace human being?
So I believe that these are all products of artificial intelligence, which itself is not sufficient to ever replace human beings, because human beings are the manufacturer of these technologies. And AI does not provide the creativity, the much called emotional attachment or the particular understanding that a human brain has. Hence, assisting is possible, but replacement won't be possible.
Kasturi, Odisha has been a role model in supporting sports, particularly hockey. It has not only become a hockey capital of India by organizing 2 consecutive World Cups, but also it sponsored our Olympic team. So, what could be the reason for such love for hockey?
So the love for hockey has been historical and traditional in Odisha. I remember that Dilip Tikhi, who is the current president of Indian Hockey Federation, is from Sundargarh, Odisha, who actually popularized the game was popularized a lot during his captaincy in Indian hockey. Hence, Odisha has an emotional connect with the game, and by sponsoring the Olympic team and hosting hockey, there has been a new boost for the sport.
What is this PVTC?
The particularly vulnerable tribal groups are identified as specific, backwards, shy, and with traditional traits. Certain groups in all states and union territories. And
With respect to Odisha, how many of them are there in?
So Odisha has the highest number of
Highest number.
PVTGs.
Uh, have you heard of Ramsar sites?
Yes, sir.
In Odisha, are there any Ramsar sites?
Yes, sir. I am unable to recall the exact name.
Okay, no problem. And your hobbies, your extracurricular activities, you have mentioned sustainable fashion design. So, what is sustainable in fashion design?
So fashion as an industry is has become very unsustainable in the present day due to its high consumption of water and chemicals, as well as high production of waste. It's at such a stage that 40% of the fashion product manufactured in India and around the world go into landfills and waste. Sustainability in the fashion industry aims to reduce the waste, reduce the use of water and chemicals by certain modern technologies.
Kasturi, now economists say that unless we enhance the participation of women in our labor force, India cannot become a developed economy. So at present, I think about 26% is the women labor force participation. How to increase it to an effective level? What are the strategies or schemes which are, and you can tell me one or two which are existing right now, and but one or two which you would like to, bring a new element.
So increasing the women labor force participation will also need that we increase their participation at a smaller age group in education and skill building, which is lacking in women. For that, government has already come up with Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao to encourage parents to send girl child to school, as well as there are schemes in the MSME sector, in textile sector, particularly focused on women. I am aware that Odisha also has come into highlight for its SHG, the Mission Shakti program, which comes to aggregate around 70 lakh women into SHGs for the work they do. And it will also help them to get more credit and go into entrepreneurship if they wish to pursue the same. At the same time, sir, I think one more step required is the change in mindset. Traditionally, patriarchal households do not believe women going out of home for work. Hence, this will also take time and government needs to do in this area.
Thank you.
Kasturi, have you joined Odisha Civil Services or not, or yet to join?
I have joined, sir.
You have joined, okay. So tell me, how can ethics and honesty be promoted in administration?
So ethics and honesty has to be introduced as in that UPSC has also already introduced in the examination process. I believe that it also needs to come in at different levels of training, the initial, mid-level and also at the high level. Secondly, we need to increase the sensitization of our officers, that we ensure that the work they are being done is actually for the downtrodden sections, the vulnerable sections who are in need of empathy and compassion. If they are made aware of this, then honesty will be promoted more.
Your optional subject is sociology, right? So who is or are your favorite sociological thinkers, and give reasons for the same?
So I, as in my interest for the civil services, I feel that Max Weber has done a detailed analysis on how bureaucracy will evolve, and his works have also been highlighted more and criticized in among the scholars. So I like his work.
Okay, okay. So, to tell me the difference between westernization and modernization.
So westernization was the term coined by M.N. Srinivas in Indian scenario. He meant to mention the changes that occurred in Indian society during the 150 and more years of British rule in India, which brought in Western traits like food, lifestyle, dressing style, etc. But modernization is more of a value neutral term where it takes into account not just the modernization that occurs in Western nations, but in traditions of India also, modernization may have occurred. And hence, it is a more higher and encompassing term.
So India's youth is moving towards westernization or modernization.
So, modernization.
Okay, and you are a computer science graduate, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about personal data digital protection bill.
So the Personal Data Protection Bill was introduced with the ambition that personal data that is being provided by the customers or consumers has to be protected and not publicly utilized without their consent in public domain.
Okay, and you also have interest in Zumba. So, what are similarities and dissimilarities in Zumba and aerobics?
So aerobics mostly focuses on the exercise part, that the physical training and heart rate streamlining along that increases the air circulation in the body. But Zumba is a more fun activity which also includes music. Hence, it has a soothing effect on mental health of the person.
Okay, thank you, Kasturi. I pass on to Chairman, sir.
So, Kasturi, parliamentary panel is working on the agenda or maybe an issue whether the marriageable age of women should be increased from 18 to 21. They haven't taken any decision so far. It's still in the discussion stage. What is your view?
So my view is by law, yes, it is a welcome step, but we need to also ensure that child marriage is being like it's continuing in India in tribal groups, in poverty-stricken groups. There, if the government completely illegalizes this process, then these children, especially of the vulnerable sections, they get exposed to the law without having, like, they are innocent and they do not have a mistake. So I believe before actually legally increasing the age, we need to educate, empower girl child and women so that they take a conscious decision of their marriage.
Digital literacy in women is very less.
Yes, sir.
So, suppose if you are posted as a district magistrate in one of the districts in Odisha, what steps are you going to take?
So as the district magistrate, I'll ensure that the common service centers present across the blocks and the district should include 100% women who come in for doing their day-to-day work. Maybe like I'll ensure that every girl child or woman has an email ID. So that is my first step towards digital education. And then and there, when they take exams or apply for government schemes, I need to ensure that they are educated of their rights. This is how digital education can come in the process of social development also.
Kasturi, you have heard about some spy balloon, in American space.
Yes.
You think that future wars will be, the battle will be, the space will be the future war area?
Yes, sir. But apart from just space, I think the major problem is in technology. As seen in the Russia-Ukraine war also, they have used a lot of drones and unmanned aerial vehicles, which is similar to the spy vehicle that US is criticizing that China may have been the reason. Uh, I think so. We are not using technology properly, and it is a disadvantage of technology that our space is being militarized.
India have the technology of air to space missiles?
I have heard of a mission Sakti where anti-satellite missile has been tested in India.
Yeah, that's one.
Yes, sir.
But air to space missiles, you're not sure about it.
I'm unable to
Okay,
recall the
that's
name.
right. So, Kasturi, we have covered a lot of area. Anything you think has not been covered in the DAF, from the DAF. So you may point out so that I can ask the last question.
So I'll take your question.
No, I have closed. You only when you ask for a particular subject that I will ask the last question. Otherwise, there is no compulsion.
So I also.
If you think something has been left out. So thank you, Kasturi. We'll call you after some time. Meanwhile, you can go into the adjoining room.
Thank you, sir.
Please come, Kasturi. Please come. Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
So, Kasturi, first tell us how you have done as per your assessment.
Sir, actually, this is the first online mock that I've given.
Offline.
Sorry, sir, offline. So
You
I
can't-
do not have a comparison.
You can't
with-
benchmark. There's no benchmark.
Yes.
But when you left, were you happy with yourself? All right, Kasturi, you have done well.
So I believe in always being happy.
Obviously. Okay. So, Kasturi, you have actually done very well. You are a very promising candidate and you have a good personality, very pleasing. It was a very interesting interaction that we had. And you had a good command over your knowledge. You had a good command over your language and delivery and the words that you used. You know, that makes the expression even more qualitatively better. Knowing an answer is one, but expressing it is number two, and expressing it in the best possible form is the best form, right? So you are good at all of them. I don't want to go to the contents, but the panel didn't find any flaw in your entire interview. So I could have come out with some more qualities of your interview, but you were very good. And I would only like to mention that on the question about this marriageable age, just a suggestion that if your view was that yes, it should be increased to 21, you could have taken a stand right in the beginning. It was confusing, but till the end I could not gauge what exactly is your. So you could have started ki sir, yes, it will be a good idea if it is increased. However, there can be some fallout of this action, and which you mentioned in detail. And however, even before doing this, you could have also mentioned that 21 would be a good age because the girls can, educate themselves. There is no pressure of marriage on them and on their families also. From their families, not on their families, from their families. Because girls are persuaded, 18 की हो गई शादी करो, तो अब वो कहेगी मैं 21 की तो होंगी तब होगी शादी वरना पकड़े जाओगे.
After graduation.
Right? So that is one. And secondly, just to improve you further, when I asked you about Vodafone idea thing, you mentioned that I'm not aware of it. But when I mentioned something, then you recalled everything. Why was it?
Sir, actually, I'm not exactly aware about the shares that government is buying.
Okay.
But I know that there are problems in the
There are
industry.
problems. No, but you expanded it further. It was not just, you see, I did tell that this is not going well. It's not doing well. That intelligently you picked up. This may be the reason.
Yes, sir.
But you spoke something beyond that also, which gave me this impression that you had read it and you knew about it. So, in the interest of, the duopoly thing that you mentioned, that was good. So, in all, Kasturi, very well done. Keep it up.
सो कस्तूरी ये सेमी कंडक्टर के बारे में पढ़ लेना. सेमी कंडक्टर, some boards are asking from the subject, so computer science engineering, whatever semiconductor, automobile industry had a link with that. There's some issue there. This one. Then secondly, whenever somebody says that what newspaper you have read and what is the news current these days, what interested in you, that is a great opportunity to pick up a particular news on which you can expand. So do not mention what has caught your attention. Mention a news which you have prepared at home. Because week after week things are rolling down. So something will remain for 1 week. So prepare one of the item and then say, yes, yesterday's or last week's paper, this was prominent. Today also this has this news. Some strategy, so they will expand on that. So that will be to your great advantage. Okay. If you put on a sari, then you must know about this sari. What cloth it is. Huh? If you are something more than cloth,
She's a fashion designer.
So don't forget that I have put on something, but I am not clear on it. Huh? Thank you.
But that topic is very interesting. Sustainable fashion designing. Number of startups I have seen, and now they are talking of directly stitching clothes and instead of rolls of clothes. So that's something marvelous. You were very good, Kasturi. Moonlighting has been in the news because Infosys threw out more than 300 employees who were caught working for some other company also. And then Wipro did the same thing. So moonlighting is a phenomenon where you are employed, you are working for one company, and in your spare time you are also working for some other company.
Yes.
So that is moonlighting.
Yes.
All right. So different. Generally, some companies take a view it is allowed, but concept is that working for two different companies is called moonlighting. Rest all you were good. And sociology of
Yes, sir, actually, I
that place
forgot.
is social structure of the society or society of your district. That means you can talk about all. You mentioned about tribal. That is what is required. You can mention about various other parameters, sex ratio, mortality rate, and all other social parameters.
Did you duck this question?
She
You should have asked. You should ask.
Sir, actually, I could not understand.
No, doesn't matter. You should intelligently ask. Do you mean the social structure or social fabric of? There is no problem. In one of the, sorry, मैं बीच में intervene कर रहा हूँ. I recalled one of the interviews in transcript which we saw. The Mr. Chaube's this thing, he mentioned it very clearly. Number one, that don't deceive us by a wrong answer. If you do not know, then, and number two, he said that if you have not understood any question, please don't hesitate to ask. So when one of the boards is mentioning this is the policy of the board. So you cannot point, you should not have missed that answer. Sorry.
So be very clear. If you are not clear, ask again. Sir, what do you mean by this?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
When you are asking for clarification from the member, kindly repeat, I do not understand. That also shows that you are very confident. You won't hesitate in asking from authority, even from your, when you become IAS officer, from your chief minister for any clarification. Suppose he is giving you some direction, you don't understand it. So you have the courage to ask, sir, please clarify whether got it. That shows a part of your personality. Anyway, I think all points have been covered. Kasturi, you are a very good candidate, very pleasing personality, and you handled all the questions very well. Just show your love for ecology also. Ecology and environment. Ramsar sites is particularly with respect to Odisha, 3 Ramsar sites have been added to Odisha this last year. So,
Ramsar also figured in the budget.
yeah, that's right. Because Ramsar, you were already 1 or 2 were there, now 3 have been added this year. Okay.
And
So, and for that matter, all environmental issues. So that is something, climate change and all that, you should show your passion for environmental issues. That is very, very important as a key step. All the best.
So everything has been covered, Kasturi. I did not ask why civil services or why IAS. So what's your answer? Is it because of your father? So yes, I expected that. So do not mention about your father and mention about the traits of civil services. Rest everything was fine. Keep
So
it up.
anything, Kasturi, you would like to ask us?
Sir, I am only confused about that. Like, I got the feedback, it is a good trait that I am inspired from my family.
No, that I'll tell you how to present it. You mentioned, first of all, as a part of your good personality, you should give this impression that you were not driven by anyone. It was your own decision, your own resolution.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes.
You have a strong personality, strong resolve, perseverance. It was your own call, to go into the public services. And then you mentioned because public service, civil service has 1, 2, 3. And sir, it was also because of the inspiration which I got from my parents, from my friends, and from relatives. How does it sound?
Better.
Because bringing anyone's name, it is like it's dropping a name, like you are trying to influence the board. My father is in the service, so I'm. One is that I also have got some genes, of my father. I will be a good administrator. And number two, you beware if you maltreat me, then dash, dash, dash.
Yes, understood.
And what if he were a doctor? Then?
Understood.
So, anything else you want to ask?
No, sir.
So, very well done, Kasturi. Just keep it up. Right?
All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.